Welcome again to another class for Autocad. Today actually we will be wrapping up most of the tools that you need to know about Autocad in order to go for the further step, which is to discuss with you today also the project that you will be delivering at the end of this class. So as I said, we're gonna get back to Autocad and we're gonna try to tell you more tools that you may need to draw any drawing in your real life example. So the very first one of the commands that we did not cover before is listing properties for any single line or even element that we draw in AutoCAD. There is always uh, lots of properties attached to that element. So first of all, as always, again, AutoCAD is cumulative knowledge. So let's draw some lines here, um, as you will see. So once you start drawing different lines and you try to connect it, and now you're done. Let's after you drew this, now you are interested to know what are the properties of these lines. So you go to the command line as always and you type li list the properties, and then once you hit enter, computer here's thinking, here it says, you see it says list, and then now the AutoCAD is expecting you to select the object that you're interested to know. And as you can see here, the mouse shape now changed to a question mark, and once you select that object, it's gonna pull out the properties related to that element. So if you click here, and again, if you're interested in one object or more, you can keep selecting the object. But let's say again I'm interested in one object, you're gonna hit enter, and now it's gonna open up this for you. Here it says that what this line is all about is, again, AutoCAD found one line. This line is a line, it's under layer 0. Remember last time we talked about different layers. So if you are drawing things at different layers and you type now the list properties, it's gonna tell you this object is drawn at what layer. So here's layer 0, and for example here it gives you the x, y, and z coordinates for the beginning of the line and to the end of the line. So let's see here, this is from x point, so it starts at x equal to 40.1688, the y coordinate, and then since all of what we did so far is 2D, the z component is not there, and it gives you the end point, so another x, y, and z component, and also give you the overall length of that um, element, which is again 22.6186. The angle in the xy plane is 212 degrees. Delta x, which is the change in the x direction from the beginning to the end, the change in the y, and of course there is not much change or no change in the z direction. Same thing if I were to draw a circle. Let's go to a circle, draw a circle here, and let's specify the radius as 2 and hit enter. And now you want to know what are the properties of the circle. So same thing, go to the command line, type li as list, and then you move your mouse until you hit any point in that circle, and then you're gonna hit OK, and again it shows you that this is a circle, it's under layer 0, and it has even from what point to what point, y and x and z. The center is exactly at I give you the x, y, and z coordinates of the center. It shows you the radius is 2, the circumference, it even measures the circumference, and the area. So lots of properties that you can obtain just by typing in the command line li, which is the list. Another thing also that we did not cover previously is calculator. Again, as a drawer, we draw things on a daily basis, and sometimes I need to do some little calculations. Back then, 5-10 years ago, AutoCAD did not have a calculator built in, so you had to go through Excel or even a handheld calculator to do some calculation before you start your drawing. That's not the case anymore. Now what you can do, you can go to the command line and you can type QC, quick calculator, and you hit enter, and it should now pull out a calculator for you. There you go. So that calculator, again, you can expand it, but really again you have that calculator here for you to use. And for example, 9 plus 8 plus 9, hit enter, that's 17. Of course again, I'm not expecting you to use it for a simple thing like this, but again, 555, what's the 1 over that, or what's the reciprocal, or what's squared, or the square to the power of 3, and give you the number. So yeah, if you can find it all the way to here in the, I think it's somewhere in the utilities, but as I say, the best way to get to know where are these things are located is to know the command line. Again, QC, quick calculator, and that's how you're gonna obtain the calculator and how can you use it. So again, it's a good tool to know, and instead of again going back and forth between different softwares, now you know that it's available under AutoCAD. Okay, another tool or another command that is very important for you to know, which is going to be heavily needed in your project, is creating a block. What do I mean by a block? And this is again a big introduction for your project. A block means if once we start drawing on a daily basis as a drafter, you get to repeat things quite often. And the question here is, do you really need to keep repeating drawing, for example, a table or a chair or an overall kitchen? Let's say again you ended up being a designer for designing big apartment complex, and every time you are coming up with a new apartment, you don't need to draw the same exact kitchen over and over and over. So what you need to do is to create a block. That block is now a predefined drawing that you can define it, or you can get something from AutoCAD that's already drawn for you. It's pretty much like a library. You are creating your own library of different cross sections or different drawings that you can pull out at any time and insert it where you need in that drawing. So every time you come up with a new drawing, you'll be interested to spend more time in the unique and new elements of that drawing. But once you see maybe again a kitchen or a bathroom or a balcony design, you can pull it out from that block. So in order to create a new block, all what you need to do, again, you can go to the command line here and type only one letter, B, and you hit enter, and it's gonna open up for you. Again, this is here, it's gonna ask you first this is the block definition. So you're gonna define a block. You're gonna define again something that you would like to save and get back afterwards. So the name, let's say again, object 1. You want to name the block as object 1, and then it's going to ask you now what's the base point. So you can specify this on the screen. So if you can specify this on the screen, what's the base point, where you're going to put that block, and then here there are other options that you can select from. The object is specifying on screen. Yes, you can specify it on the screen. And then once you hit OK, now it's going to ask you block specify insertion base point. So I'm going to select that point as base point. Select the object now. You're going to select 1, 2, and 3. Those are now the objects that you would like to save them as your block. Once you're done, you hit enter. And you're back to here. Well, let's redo this. So here, let's say block 1, and then you can even open block editor. You hit OK. Then you're gonna specify the base point. We did that. For some reason the computer network. So we selected it. We select the objects. Okay, I think now it's talking to us. This is the because yeah, it has to open a new tab for the block itself. And as you can see now, there are different types of block editor tools, but basically this is the block editor that you need to use in order to save what you did. So if you click close, it should be there. How can you insert a block? Because how would you know that it's already saved? If you click I, hit enter, there you go. This was the block that was already created. And even the nice thing here, it shows you all the types of blocks, because here we did object 1, we did block 1, so it looks like yes, we did create the two of them. So those are the two objects, and what you do is just click OK, and now it's gonna ask you to where are you gonna put that block. So hitting OK again, see, so this is the base point. All what you need to do now is to select any point where you need to put it, and you put it there and you inserted that. So let's do it again from scratch. So we would learn again. So if you click B, let's say now let's draw another thing here, polyline 1 2 3 4 all the way to 5. Let's say again this is a block. Then all what you need to do now to go to the command line, type B. You want to create a new block, let's say block 2. You're going to specify it on the screen, and then once you hit OK, you need to pick first the block base point, and then now we need to select the object. This is the object, hit enter. Now it open up. Once you hit enter, it open up the block editor. As you could see, if you are happy with it, if you don't need to change anything, you're just gonna close, and now you're done. So now you created actually 3 blocks so far. So how can you insert them? You go to the command line, type I, you hit enter. Now we have a list of 3 blocks. You have block 1, and the nice thing again shows you here what did you select, block 2, block, and object 1. So if I'm interested now to insert block 2, hit OK. Now again I can put it anywhere I like, and then I can insert it anywhere. Let's put it here. That's it. So now in your project, and let me open up the project, and how does it look like. This is your AutoCAD project that it will be posted on Canvas. And here, since we are reaching the end of all the topics related to AutoCAD, you are required to draw this drawing, which is a big building, including dimensions, because we got to learn how to do dimensions, the blocks, but the blocks of the doors, windows, and sinks and bathroom stalls, those will be downloaded, uploaded on Canvas. So what you need to do, you would need to save them on your computer, and then what happens is you're gonna go to AutoCAD, and you're gonna go to command line, you type I, and then now what's gonna happen, you're gonna click browse. Since you did not do it yourself, so you're gonna try to look them up on your own computer. So you need to save the blocks, insert them, and this is how you're gonna get to put all those little details in your project. Okay, so now we got to know. Again, we're inserting again. So that's basically what it is. How can you go back to the block editor? So you can just say BE. This is the command for block editor if you want to edit a block. So you can go to any block that you already created to edit them. So if you click OK, this is how can you edit them. You can rotate them. You can again, there's so many options that I'm gonna leave that to you, but there's so many things that you can edit the block before you add it to your drawing. So where to get the block editing again? So BE, block editor. You click and you select the block that you're interested to change or edit, and once you're done, it's now saved. Okay. Let's move on to another type of command that we did not cover yet. I think this is creating a block as a file. I think we touched upon this already, but if you put here in the command line W block, W, no, it's W, W block. This is again how to write a block. So you can click a block, or you can insert a drawing or objects. Pretty much here, how can you this is save selected objects, or convert a block to a specified drawing file. This is how can you save it in case again you open up a file. How can you save the file? And here you would select the location of that file. But as I said, you can just create your own one and insert it later on, or you can save them in a specific location and then click insert a block, and you'll put it to select it right there. So that's not really a common command to do. And the next one is purge. How can you remove or delete things as blocks? So if you type in your command line purge, P-U-R-G-E. Now this is purge. Again, it's going to ask you, this is really it can remove any unused items such as blocks, definitions, layers from the drawing. So you can delete a layer that you're not interested in. Of course, you can go to the layers and delete it manually, but here you can delete a block. For example, here it says all items. If you click on the blocks and you say purge all, and here do you want to purge dimension styles and everything, you can skip, or you can purge all items. But this is again a way to delete some of the unused items such as blocks and layers from your drawing. So how can I get that again? Click close, go to the command line, purge, hit enter, and that's where you find it. Okay. Another command that you would need it in your practical life as a drafter that can save you a lot of time is array, which is right here. What does that mean? And so many times when you draw something on Autocad, we typically draw several items that they are they're very identical and they are very symmetrical. For example, if I'm drawing a table and that meeting table it's a circular table and it has 8 chairs around it. So why would you spend the time to draw the 8 chairs separate? So what we can do, we can create an array. That array can be rectangular or polar. So if you are drawing something that's going to be repeated from the angular perspective, for example, as you can see here in the picture, if you are polar, that means again with certain angles, then you would use the polar array. But if you are interested to do the rectangular array, that now is going to distribute the objects in terms of copies into combination of rows and columns and levels. So how can we do this? So before we get going, let's just select all, delete all what we have, so we can start from scratch. So how about if I have a circular table? That table here, let's say the radius has 2.5. This is the circular table. Now I'm interested to draw again from the plan view a rectangle along this line here. Again, let's say that's the rectangle, and that's rectangle right here that I would like to repeat around this table. So how can I do that? So you can go here to polar array. Once you select the polar array, it asks select the object. And by the way, if you can't find the icon, always you need to know the command. The command here is AR. This is the array AR. But now since we're interested in the polar array, so that's the polar array that we're interested in. So you click the object that you wanna rotate or copy, and then now specify the corner. Here Autocad is asking you to specify the center point of that array, and I'm gonna select it as say the center of the circle. Once you click the center, all of a sudden now is Autocad is selecting or came up with a default array assumptions, assuming that we're interested in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this is just an assumption. If you go all the way up here, this is where you can change things. So you can specify how many items you want, or you can keep the items and you can keep changing the degrees behind them, or even the fill. Here the fill is, that means you are interested to fill this item in the full circle, 360 degrees. Sometimes you may not be interested in filling that. For example, if you put 300 degrees, so, and here you are putting, let's say, 5 items. So it's 5 items and it's gonna fill up 300. Or you can say, again, it's, you have the freedom to put the items and leave everything else, or the angles between each item, or the fill, which is the fill angle. Specify the angle between the first and the last item. So you have the freedom. So here you can put 2 items. The angle here, let's say 10. So but again, as you may know, again, they have to be talking to each other. So the easy way to do this is, if you put here the fill angle is 360 around the whole thing, and you need 30 degrees, and let the item be, say, 10. 360, yes. So now if I were to have, again, we've got to do the math because the three numbers has to talk to each other. 360, this is the full angle. If I want to put 10 chairs around this table, that means it's going to be every 36 degrees. You can even increase the number of rows. Instead of 1 row, you can add 2 rows, and the distance here, let's say 2. So you can keep adding rows, or even actually here 5. So as you see, you can add rows to the array. So the array doesn't have to be one level, it can be different levels, or it can be different rows. So you can play with it as much as you can. So I'm gonna click close, and I will delete this. Again, the nice thing, this array is gonna consider to be one piece, so you can just click delete and it's gone. So one more time, if let's do it from scratch. How can I get the array? So you can go to here and you type AR. Well, first you need to draw the item. Let's say a circle with a radius of 0.5. So you're done with the one that you want to replicate, and then you go to here and say AR, select the object, and you're gonna select, hit enter, and select, is it rectangular or polar? I'm interested in polar. What's the base point? Say the circle, and again it assumes certain numbers, and then you can, as I say, you can change the number of items or the angle between or the. How about now if I want to do a rectangular array? So let's delete this, and now I want to do something like this. So let's specify the corner as 5 and 5, and now I want to have the length of this rectangle as 6 and the height as 10. Okay, so that's the rectangle. Okay, well, maybe let's draw a smaller one just so we can see the entire. So a rectangle again, starting from 5 and 5, and let's do 1 and 0.5. Okay, so that's the rectangle. Now I want to do an array. How can I do a rectangular array? Pick now this rectangle. It's gonna hit enter, and then I was gonna ask me for what's the base point. I'm gonna select that is the base point, and it's created. Same thing. There is an assumption. Again, Autocad would assume that it has 4 columns, it has 4 rows, has one level. One level, again, I think it's in the 3D dimension. That's why we don't play with it much. But 4 columns. How about if I want 6 columns? How about if I want to have 9 rows? or the distance between each one. Let's say instead of 1.500, let's say 2. Same thing between the rows, let's say 1.5. So I think you got the point. So you can again create a big array, either rectangular or polar, and again it helps you a lot because you don't have to repeat things over and over again, especially again if you're handling a big draw. So the command is AR, and again that's array, and you can keep going back and forth between rectangular array and polar array. Okay, that's another option. Another option that helps you a lot, speaking of making your life easier, is a mirror. How can you mirror things? As I said, there's so many times we would have lots of symmetry. What does that mean? That means the picture has its own mirror on the other side. You don't have to draw the whole picture. You can draw half of it and then you can mirror it. How can we, this is the icon right here, mirror, or if you can't find the icon, as usual you need to learn the command, which is mi mirror the subject. So first of all, let's delete what we did, and now let's just come up with polyline, any polyline that you want to do, assuming that you are interested to do something symmetrical, like that. Again, any shape. Again, I'm not being specific here. Now you want, instead of drawing the same exact picture on the other side, you can mirror that. How can I mirror it? So mi as select the objects. These are the objects. The nice thing about polyline, as we got to know from the first class in AutoCAD, it's one piece. Hit enter. Specify now. Specify the first point of the mirror line, because every mirror you need to specify 2 points. So the first one is right on the top, second one is right here, and boom, you did it. So you did mirror. Now you created the mirror. AutoCAD now is asking you for one more step. Are you interested to delete the original half of the picture, or you are interested to keep it? Because in so many times you would draw the entire drawing on one side, you just want to mirror it on the other side and delete the original, or if you are interested in keeping both. That's why here AutoCAD would ask you every time, do you want to erase the source object? If you want to erase it, it's going to go away. If not, it's going to stay. So once you click yes, this is now being erased. If I want to keep it, let's do a mirror again. Click mirror or type mi. You hit enter. You select the objects. You hit enter. And it's going to select the first point of the mirror, second point of the mirror. And now I don't want to erase it, so you hit no, and now both will stay. So that's the mirror option that I wanted to let you know about. Pretty handy when it comes to, again, drawing big drawings. Last thing, one of the few last things here before I leave you with AutoCAD is hatching. What does that mean, hatching? In so many cases, as drafters, we would like to have a cross section. What does that mean, cross section? Assume that you are driving on a highway. You are interested now to know how many layers of asphalt or how many layers of soil or rocks are in this street. So many times, again, that's what we call cross section. So if you cut through the highway 90 degrees perpendicular to your travel direction, you will be interested to see how many layers do you have, and each layer, to distinguish each layer, and instead of just using colors, you can hatch it. Every hatch is gonna relate to a certain type of materials that we use for that layer. So to get to this here, we can go to you can just type H, hit enter, and it's gonna open up for you again a new panel here that shows you different types of hatching. So the nice thing, AutoCAD has a big library of different hatches depending on the material that you're using. Again, if you ended up being a civil engineer, for example, you can Again, if you're building a wall, this is a wall. Different types of walls. If you're building again, you can go all the way down here and select other types of materials. Grass. If you are drawing a grassy area, what else do we have? Again, okay, how about this? Gravel. Again, you can do that. So there's so many ways that you can hatch this drawing in order to indicate for the people that they will be seeing to know what type of material is are you dealing with. So let's have an example and let's draw something here. So for example, look what I did. So I'm still in the hatching. I just clicked anywhere in the middle and it just hatched what I drew before. So if I want to change the hatch, again I can click this. Again, there's so many designs as I said. I can go to here, click on this, but what's happening here? That type of hatch, it need to be modified, because now what we see, again, still it picked what I wanted, but the type of blocks are too big. I need to make them smaller. So how can I do this? Going to here. So if I can keep doing this here, it can keep make them smaller and smaller. Take a look at this here. So I'm seeing now more and more by the time I am making this is I'm changing the properties of that hatch, making it smaller, and now I could see, okay, this is the material. How about the angle? I can make that hatch with certain angle. Instead of 0 degrees, I can put 45 degrees. There you go. It did change. How about the layer? I can change the color. I can change the pattern. Again, gradient, solid. So again, so many solid or pattern. And most of the time we try to pick pattern here. So that's what I meant by hatching. So how can we do it again? Let's skip and do another drawing here. So this drawing is a typical drawing for a cross section of the highway. So let's draw, and typically we design those highways with a crown, and let's use actually the mirror since we just learned about it. So I'm gonna use this as the first line, and then I'm gonna copy this. Yeah, I'm drawing here. All what I did, again, I'm just clicking the line, Control C, Control V, I'm copying the line, and one more time. Okay, so those are the three layers. I'm assuming that they have, the first layer is maybe hot mix asphalt layer, and then gravel, and then soil. And then I need to close that. So I need to draw a line all the way to the end. I want to draw another line. This is half of the highway, by the way. Again, we call it a crown. This line was a little bit longer, so I'm gonna shorten that. Okay, and then now I want to mirror, like what we got to learn. I want to mirror this. I want to select all the objects. I want to mirror 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I'm not interested in mirroring this one because this is going to be shared. Click enter, and now we're going to select the first point, which is right here, and the second point is right here. Okay, so I built my section. Oops, I forgot and I clicked erased. So I'm gonna hit OK again, because remember we got to learn that the default setting for Autocad is to erase the original picture, and I don't want to do this here, so I'm gonna select them again, hit enter, click first, click second, and now I'm gonna say, you wanna erase? I say no, don't erase. I'm gonna delete this here so we can concentrate on the new drawing. So this is the cross section. Again, we build it as a crown section. We're gonna get to learn in transportation engineering why we build it this way, not so in order to get rid of the water, so the water won't sit on the middle of the highway. So now I wanna delete this here. So the top layer is hot mix asphalt. So now I want to hatch each layer with a different hatching. So I will let the guy or the person again after me to know that the first layer is different material than the second and the third. So I'm gonna go to here and type hatch, and it's gonna open up the hatch for me. So I would need to select now something related to asphalt. So let's pick this one here as concrete. So I'm gonna open up this, I'm gonna click hatch, type anywhere here, and there you go. It now, this is as little pieces of gravel. So if I'm not interested in this, or let's say I want to change the color, I'm gonna put it more maybe black, and then the size is too small, or maybe let's do it wide to make it even. Okay, now I wanna keep small, making this, yes, here small, make the pattern scale smaller in order to see. Otherwise, again, if you keep increasing it, for example to 1, maybe just to 0.5, again, sometimes it depends on how you want to look at it, but let's say 0.25. This is the first layer. Now I'm gonna go to the second layer, which is soil. I'm trying now to look for another type, let's say another type of materials, and let's say gravel, and I'm gonna click here. For some reason it changed, so I'm gonna go now to here and go back and select the concrete. So one reason that why this is happening, I need to check. So go to etch again. When I click gravel, well, I need first to be here. Go all the way down. Let's say gravel, and I'm gonna go to here. Yes. So you need to make sure again that you're clicking at the right place. So this is gravel. So now I can change this to 1, or even you want to increase the pattern here to 2, or even to 3. Depends. So every lane, or I mean every layer, is gonna have its own pattern. Is gonna have its own pattern scale. Now if I want to go to back to the different type, which is, I want to put this as sand, for example. I click on this. Now the sand here changed. I'm gonna put this as 1. So I think you got the point where you need to select first the material. So every time you click here, again it's gonna select that the latest one that you pick. So if you click block, and let's say here 1. So I think you got the point. So even I can go to here, change the angle to 0, changing the angle. So the main thing here, you gotta make sure that every layer is separate. So why don't we do another example here? Again, just a simple rectangle, just to make the point. Again, and I'm gonna click hatch, which is just capital H. Then I'm gonna select, let's say, brass. I click here, and it's done. You can change now this is the scale 0.5. This is too much, maybe say 3, and again it's brass. So that's how you hatch things. Again, you gotta make sure that it's contained if you, for example, if you have a shape like a polyline shape that is not closed, even if it's too close but it's not fully closed like this here, and you want to hatch it, it won't. So type H, you want to hatch it. Again, a closed boundary cannot be determined. So in order to do the hatch, you need to know that this has to be closed. So that's why here it shows you even that these two has to be related to each other, or they need to be connected in order to have a hatch successfully done. But again, you got the point. Again, how can I modify this? You can do brass, but again, each layer would have its own type. So you click here. Now we go back to hatch again, H, and you wanna be here, brick. It's done. Now you would like to have box. It changed. Now how about if I went to here and I wanna go now to hatch? You're gonna change this to, so the idea here, you want to have the mouse away from the picture before you do that. So click maybe earth, and then you click here and now change. So the idea is you got to know that it's all about the mouse has to be away from the layer of interest before you get going. So here, and of course the scale is very important. Okay, so that's about the hatch. How can I edit the hatch? I think we got to know again how can I edit the hatch. This is the toolbox to edit the hatch. If you can't find it, again there are two ways of finding it. You can just double click on the hatch. It's gonna open up the hatch panel, or you can just close. There is a command for it. You can go to the command line and type HE, edit the hatch, and it should, again, it's gonna ask you now select the hatch that you wanna edit. You're gonna click anywhere, and now this is gonna open a hatch edit, a full hatch edit. So you can do it either or, the one that we just showed you, or here. You can select the pattern, you can select the color, you can select the type. So this is another easy way to do it instead of the other one. So you can click cancel. How can I get this again? So you can select here HE. Maybe that's what you're gonna end up preferring. So HE, hit enter. Select now the hatch object. I'm selecting this one right here. You select the layer that you're interested in, and if you wanna change it, let's say to this one, and hit OK. You hit OK, and it changed. So that's how you do the edit the hatch in another way. So it's either you double click on it and it's gonna open up for you this panel here to change the angle, the pattern, or you can just go to the command line and you type HE and you type enter, select the object, and it's gonna open up another window that you can change the angle. Here you go, the angle, the scale. It's pretty much the same thing, but again, two different ways of doing the same thing, depending on what way would you really prefer. We're getting close here to the end of Autocad details. So how about this? There is also something called Design Center. So Autocad has a big library of things or drawing that you can make use of. This is again one of the least commands, least known commands, but again, it doesn't hurt to learn them. The center, Design Center. And once you click on that, it's going to open up for you a big library of saved items that you may use. As you can see here, it's going to open up for you different types of libraries. You can have here mechanical samples, you can have database connectivity, Um, so floor plan sample, very interesting. And by the time you open this, you're gonna open up again blocks, details. For example, here for interested in blocks, computer if you're gonna just computer, desk, keyboard. Again, it's a big library of anything that you could think of. So how can I view this again? You can just go to here to the command line and type D design center, D center. I think with that we got to learn now pretty much all what you need to know to have a 2D drawing. We've got to learn how to draw things using line, polyline, circle. We got to know how to copy things, how to mirror, how to array, how to write text in any drawing, how to put the dimensions, different types of dimensions, layer types. How can you make one layer active, make one layer maybe not active? You want to print one layer, not the other. How can you insert things? How can you match the properties? Calculator. How can you do the hatch? So pretty much again, you are very well equipped now and above and beyond anyone at your age that knows about AutoCAD. So with that, again, let me open. This is your AutoCAD project that you will be responsible to draw. This is again a big plan of a big structure. You will be again asked to draw the exterior walls, and I'm showing you here the thickness of each wall. The interior wall, for example, the thickness of the interior walls are 4 inches and a half. The exterior walls are 1 foot long, and the interior doors have this amount of dimensions. And so again, you will be required to draw this. Some of it again, it will be using regular polylines or rectangular. But the good news is again the internal ones, the bathrooms and the kitchens and even the doors. Those doors here, the external or the internal doors, they will be provided to you as a block. And as we got to learn today, all what you need to do to insert them as a block, and you put them wherever you want to put them. Those are also the dimensions. You are required to put the dimensions on all over the place. But I'm pretty sure again with what we discussed so far, you will be well ahead of the game, and you will be able to draw this picture, and including again the dimensions, and with the help of the blocks that I will be uploading. Thank you so much. With this, I think we finish um, AutoCAD, mainly 2D drawings. I hope you like it. And as I said before, AutoCAD is cumulative knowledge. Again, we discussed, I would say, 90% of what you need, if not more. But you're always encouraged to read and to dig in deep. What are the other tools or extra tools that AutoCAD may come up with? I highly recommend you to keep drawing and to enhance your drawing capability and how fast you will get the drawing done. With this again, I would like to thank you all for listening and tuning in, and we'll see you maybe in other classes. Thanks a lot. Bye bye.